Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday, everybody. This is Kiera Gladney. I am the host of Mask Off, the Charity Movement podcast, and I'm so excited for another episode. I always say I'm so excited, but that means my excitement is constant. At least I'm consistent, right, y'all? Exactly. So I'm very excited for the interview today because it's a very special person. I say it's a very special person every week, too. Okay, everybody's special. Okay, everybody's special in their own way. However, this person is really, really special because this person knew me before I knew myself. Okay, and it's not Jesus. Okay, but we serve Jesus. Hallelujah. It is my sister, my oldest sister. Okay, she is also my mini mother. Okay. My mom is still here, but she's like my mom, like behind my mom. Okay. So I love her. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is a professional. She knows everything in my eyes. She's an amazing woman. She's so giving. She has a heart of gold. She is just an amazing woman. So relentless, just such a breath of fresh air in my life. And I know that after today, you guys will love her so much. But you guys can't steal her. You guys may be able to share her just a little bit. So I just want to introduce to you guys my sister, my bestie, Jennifer.
Hi, sissy. First of all, this intro was like, what? I cannot take all that kind of love. Your girl started turning red. I'm
Oh my
like,
goodness.
what are we doing? So it was so sweet. Thank you,
Yes, this
baby.
is
I
my
love you.
sister, you guys. She is like the most beautiful thing ever.
I
Okay.
love you. You are too.
So, oh my goodness. So let's get into it. So, what are three adjectives other than what I've already said that would describe you?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say independent because
Okay.
I was the firstborn, so I kind of had to be. Optimistic. I'm always looking at the glass half full. Things are always going to turn around and be a positive thing for your life. And cheerful. I like to laugh. So
Yeah,
why not be cheerful?
absolutely. Okay. So, speaking of cheerful and speaking of always thinking of things half full, how does life feel with having a teenager and a preteen?
Child, listen. Your patience is tested on a whole nother level. Okay. Now, I thought having like when they were in the toddler stage, it was a really challenging time because they in everything. They got personality that is just like really big and all of that. Think about teenagers as toddlers on steroids times 10. Like they are just doing the most and challenging you all the time. So you have to really grow some patience, like get it fast. So it's been a challenge, but it's also very rewarding. So yeah,
Oh
I
my
enjoy
goodness.
it.
I bet you do. They are just amazing and smart and all of the things.
All
Okay.
the
So
things.
so now you, for those people that don't know you obviously, you live in Texas.
I do.
But you used to live all of your life before that in Michigan, in Detroit.
Mhm.
And for those that don't know, a lot of our family live in Michigan and a lot of our family lives in Detroit.
Yep.
How was that transition for you with your family? Um, deciding to move to Texas. How was that transition for you?
I always knew that I didn't want to live in Michigan my entire life. I always knew that I didn't really want to raise my children in Michigan forever. Like I wanted them because growing up, we didn't really like travel like that. So I
Yeah.
wanted to be able to expose them to other things. So we would take vacations and stuff. And every time we went somewhere, I was like, it'd be interesting to live here.
Yeah.
So moving to another state was just something that was kind of like on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I just decided that it was something that just kept picking at me. And an opportunity came up for my husband for his work, and my work said, "Hey, you can take work with you." So it just opened up the flood, like everything just kind of like worked in its way the way that it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of like move on and expose the kids to so many different cultures and ideas, and just so that they can see that there are other things outside of your birth city or state. There are other things for you to get into and do, and you can make a decision to leave or not. Like my daughter, she loves you so much, Gabby, and she's always saying, I'm gonna go back to Michigan because I'm going to Wayne State because that's where my TT went. So she has plans. So she went back to Michigan for those cold winters. So she should be there in about 5 years or so. Back where
Success is not all that is cracked up to be, okay? Okay, so with that transition, you talked about how everything worked out the way it was supposed to with regard to your jobs and, just moving and relocating. But how was that transition for you emotionally and mentally?
ooh, that was a lot. That was a lot. Leaving, uprooting your life, right? Everything that you know, and moving to a space without your village, without a support system that was already built in because that's what you grew up with. Um, it was a real challenge for the first year, 18 months or so, until like you have to commit to where you're moving to. All right.
Yeah,
That's what I would say. You would have to really commit. Like you say you want to be here. So the next step is ingrain yourself into the community, like get to know families. Like what I learned was not only your church family, but you also need to get to know your community, where you live, the teachers, the parents at the school, like all of those aspects of the people on your block, you
yeah,
know, because growing up, we didn't go outside like that. You know what I'm
no,
saying? So like really getting into your if you're in a subdivision, see what's out there and try to be as active as you can so that you can learn the things that's going on around you, because it's gonna take still a village to help you be able to raise your kids, and you want the right type of people around your family,
yeah,
right? So that's something that you really need to take into consideration. So that it took me a while. It took me about 18 months before I was just like, okay, I got to come out this house and I really need to start meeting people. I need to go to women's Bible study. I really need to, learn it and try to get it ingrained into my psyche.
yeah. So during that transition, what did you learn about yourself? Because like you said, it took you 18 months to kind of get into the swing of building a different normal or a different village. So what did you learn about yourself during that time?
It's so funny that you asked that question because still today I'm still learning more things about me, like that I am an introvert at heart. Like
Mm,
I when I am placed in a situation where I am around people, I can put it on. I'm fine with being who I am and laughing and having a great time and teaching something or whatever the case. But I have to push myself out there to do it. And
yeah,
that's something I learned about myself with this move, is that you have to like really step yourself out there so that you can be fulfilled, so that you can feel like you are actually doing something for yourself. One thing that I really learned with this move was finding some friends, right?
okay,
And actually spending time and having like little girl dates, right? Where we just go to lunch. The kids at school. I'm on my lunch hour. Can you push your lunch hour to this time? Let's meet up here and get some tacos together, or let's go to the coffee shop and let's have some tea, or whatever the case, just so you can decompress. So you
yeah,
can vent about whatever it is that you need to vent about. But finding that space to be able to have that time was important for me, because I felt like I was closing myself in. I was working from home, right?
yep,
I was in a new place. My husband was gone into an office meeting new people, and I was mom, at home trying to take care of everything. So learning that you have to step out your comfort zone and make it a point to do something for you. Like, we talk about this often, how important it is as women. Yes, you're a wife. Yes, you're a mother, but you're also a woman, and you
Yeah.
need to do things that will serve you. Getting your nails done, that'll serve you. Getting your hair done, that serves you. Getting some makeup on every now and again, that serves you. Wearing something cute, that serves you. It makes you feel good. It changes your attitude. It brightens your day. It makes you feel good. So
Yeah.
those are things that I learned that I need to, do to help me.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up. Just pushing yourself out there because like you just said, so many times we as mothers, we only look at ourselves with that adjective. And I think or that description of who we are. And I think that's why I am asking every person like the first adjective that comes to mind about yourself because before you were a mother, before you were a wife, before you were, a lot of these other things that we add to our names, before you had that degree, before you had that career, God made you a woman.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
gave you the emotions and the personality of who you are.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't just cut that off when we
Mhm.
become parents because at some point, our children are going to leave,
They are. Indeed.
and
We
where
left.
is our identity going to be then? Okay, and we have a personal testimony about that, okay,
Yes, we
baby?
do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's so funny that you said that because I think it was probably last night and I was spending some time with God and I was just kind of like talking to him about um the importance of making sure that my relationship with him and then my relationship with my husband and then my relationship with my children, even though they all together, they meld together, but those individual spaces, right?
Yeah,
And then you have to think about your relationship with yourself. I battled depression in 2020. It was a lot, 2020 was crazy. A
yeah,
lot of things happened. And that during that time, it helped me to be able to see a therapist and let someone teach me some things that I was battling from childhood and that I needed some help with. So it's important for us to be able to tap into that for ourselves. It's important.
absolutely. And if we don't tap into it, we will realize over time that we will be creating small little fires.
Mhm.
And then we'll realize over time, like, oh my gosh, look at how much stuff is burnt up because
Mm,
I haven't dealt with these little problems.
it's true.
And little problems eventually create bigger problems. And
Mhm.
then, especially with situations with our spouses, they'll look around and be like, well, what happened?
Yeah, because we keep it in where we tend to internalize a lot. Um, getting older, I am learning a lot of things about my body that has like really changed a lot. Like, I developed migraines in the past, I don't know, 3 to 4 years that are like really intense. And it has a lot to do with stress. It has a lot to do with just being a woman in general, things your body changes. So so it's just like, when you have these things, you gotta see where you are lacking and try to find something that's going to help you to be able to address it quick. You don't want nothing to just linger on, like you said, internalizing stuff, and then boom, and they like, hold on, I just asked what was for dinner. I mean, it was good. What happened?
Like, what was going on in your mind? Okay. Do you want chicken or fish? Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
Never mind. I'll make my
oh
own
yeah,
dinner.
don't worry about it.
So speaking of addressing things and just that level of transparency, let's switch gears to how does that translate to how you communicate with your children because they're in a different state. They are older. you have a teenager and a preteen. So how do you prepare them in communication with all the things that are being thrown at them continuously? How do you build that communication with them?
You know, now we have social media, which is just like, even if you are trying to keep and prevent your children from seeing social media, they have friends that are on social media.
Right.
So they're going to see social media. Google is at their fingertips, right? So, um, every morning on the ride to school, we have a conversation about um just kind of like, they read their devotionals at night, we hold on to it, and then in the mornings we talk about it, and then we say, okay, let's apply this to real life. Give
Right.
me a situation that has occurred that can relate back to the devotional that you read, right?
Yeah.
And then I also make it a point to share. Like, I don't want to be like the mom that's like, I know everything, so you can't tell, well, you can't beat me at the game, and you can't, what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Like, your kids should not be your friends, but they also should be in a place where they feel comfortable with coming to you and saying, hey mom, I like a boy, or
Yeah.
hey mom, um, I saw a girl today and she was really cute, or I'm being bullied, or asking about sex even.
Yeah.
There are things that are happening in school your kids are going to hear about. You may not talk about them, right?
Yeah.
You need to be able to have that time where you can open the door and say, hey, you can come to me and talk about anything. And don't just say you can talk to me about anything. Actually say the things that they can talk to you about.
Yeah.
Be honest about the things, because if you don't, then the ignorant child at school that's just as ignorant as your child is going to tell them things and have them believe in things that are not true.
That's right.
So
That
you
is
need to
right.
be able to have that door open and actually being transparent and honest about real life. And like I said, social media makes it so hard because one of the experiences that I had was my son plays on the football team, and some of the boys were looking at pictures on their phones. They were like passing it around and stuff, and it was like of boobs. And my son came home and was like, I saw some girls boobs today. And I was like, hold on. I was like, "Well, you saw what?" He said, "Yeah, at school they were showing girls boobs on the phone." First of all, huh? Now this is
What?
before he even had a phone, okay? So he was, looking over their shoulder. What y'all looking at? He see boobs. He want to ask about boobs now. How come girls got boobs? Like, you gotta be ready to have real life conversations about sex, about drugs, about, you know, um, just like things that are going on in the world, stuff that's
Yeah.
going on in Ukraine, things that are going on when we had previous presidencies, and things that were just kind of like heightened, and race. You have to have these conversations. It's important for their age. If you don't, they're going to be so green that someone else is going to be teaching them, and that's not good.
Absolutely. And I love the comment that yes, I'm not my child's friend,
Mhm.
but I still have to like be transparent with them. And the comment or the phrase that I thought about in my head when you said that was, yes, I'm not my child's friend, but I'm also not their opponent.
Yes.
And we were raised a certain type of way and we talk about it all the
Yes,
time.
ma'am.
Just like we are not a part of that, you know, don't ask me anything. It's because I said so.
Mhm.
Because the generation of children that we are raising are
Mm.
intuitive, they're
Yeah.
asking questions, and they are intelligent to the point where if we don't give them the answer, they will search for the
Oh,
answer
they're gonna
until
find
they
it.
find one,
Yes, they will.
even if it's not an objective answer.
Mhm.
And it would behoove us to give them the objective and answer all of their questions honestly than for them to be introduced to a reality
Yeah,
that is uncensored and unsafe.
it's true. Mhm.
Um, I even think about teaching Bernard Titus his body parts and
Yep.
everything like that at a young age. And it's the reality that we have to.
Yep.
because not just so that he can know his body parts, but Lord forbid anything occur, he
Yep.
needs to be able to articulate himself at
Mhm.
an early age.
Mhm.
And it's sad that we have to think that way in preparation as parents, but I would rather have a child that's prepared for anything that could possibly go wrong, um, especially being a minority. You just
I
Mhm.
agree. I mean, I would say that, when you are dealing with especially the sex or anatomy of a child, it's important not to call things by these sweet, funny, cutesy names. Like, no, you have this.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
have, you have this. We need to say what those things are so that if they come into a situation where they can minister and help another child whose
Yeah.
parent may be saying, "Oh, that's a cookie." No, it's not. My mom said that's a blossom. I want my kid to be that kid. I want you to call a thing, say what it is. Why are we telling these kids that their parts are pastries? Because they're not. They're not pastries. They
No,
are part of their anatomy, and they need to know that's what they have, and no one should be doing anything to their parts, period.
exactly. Absolutely. Okay, so let me ask a question. So, how much of your childhood do you expose to your children if they ask?
Recently, my daughter, she turns 15 this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Phew.
this year. Uh-huh. Um, we talk about everything.
Okay.
I mean everything because see this and I tell her all the time like I feel like an old lady because I always say when I was growing up and I'm like golly I say that so much. But you know the fact that you have the vape pens that are in the schools, you have children who are bringing in liquor and water bottles. You have children having sex, getting pregnant in the high school. Like she's in high school. We not with the elementary games no more. We are real things are happening. And so it's important to share about my childhood. I experienced sexual abuse when I was younger. It's important for me to try to do everything in my power to ensure that the children are exposed to things that could potentially happen. Also, it's important for me to just make sure that I'm being super transparent about what happened to me when I was younger. And how I can kind of like, I take bits and pieces from my childhood that were just like, yeah, this is spot on. This is something that I need to, pull into when it comes to parenting. But there are also quite a bit of things that it's like, I don't want to raise my kids like that.
Yeah.
I want them to understand that they can have a voice. A child should, you have that old saying that said, a child should be seen and not heard. That's
Yeah.
not true.
Mm-mm.
That is not true. I don't like I want for the youth to be able to express themselves and not be afraid to do so. Because when you have a generation of people who are not afraid to share and expose things and learn and teach each other, then I think we're moving in a good path for the elders to kind of look back and say, wow, we're doing a good job with this future. And that's
Yeah.
what we need to be trying to do for our kids.
Absolutely. I think about um a an interview that I had and how when we were talking about something similar, they were like, yeah, because I remember when you were 12 and I saw you on the news and you were saying this and you were saying that, and I was like, and I told her, I was like, the gag is that I thought that I was gonna get a whooping when I got home if my parents saw this on the news, because the first thing I thought my parents were gonna say is, "You were talking back to an adult. Oh, oh no," and I was so scared that whole bus ride back to the school. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I am about to get a whooping. Oh my gosh." because we were just taught, not to talk back, not to do anything. And of course, I always push the envelope of the I'ma say how I feel type of thing.
That's another reason why I decided that I wanted to raise my kids to be more outspoken, respectful, but outspoken, right? I think it had a lot to do with me seeing you as a middle schooler and being honest about something that you saw an adult do that was disrespectful to another person, right?
Yeah,
And the importance of um a child being able to say, correctly, like, that was wrong. How can I, as a kid, look up to you about something and you're bullying someone else, you
yeah,
know? So it's important for you to be that. I mean, that's the beauty of like even social media and stuff now. Like you see a lot of kids who our older, generation would say, "Ooh, they too saucy for me. I would never, you cannot, da da da." But it's like you need to have that type of outspoken, uh not afraid children who are able to, because those are leaders, those are true
yes,
leaders. You know
yes,
what I'm saying? Is you can't be rigid, especially in this day and time. You have to be very um direct,
yeah,
and you have to understand what you're saying and know that your words have power.
yes.
And if you didn't mention that, then it wouldn't, because still to this day I still get notes from friends and stuff. I told you I sent you something this morning. She was like, "Oh my God, is this your sister? Jennifer, I just saw your sister on the ad. Is this your sister?" I was like, "That is my sister." I never saw the ad. I had to go and find it, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that is my sister! Oh my God!" Because people still to this day like, "Oh my God, your sister." They remember you from that video. They remember you from um graduating as the head of your class, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so having those types of things, that's important. It shows that your parents did a good job with you.
yeah,
It does. It shows
yeah,
that they did a good job.
yeah. And though, like I said, sometimes, of course, I got in trouble for it because I was a very intuitive kid that wanted to know what I wanted to know. Even if I was about to get in trouble for it, I
Yeah,
just want to know what I want to know.
that's where my Titus
And
get it from.
I know that's where Titus gets it from. And I try to be so intentional, and it's so funny because I was just going throughout my day, working from home the other day, and I was talking to Titus, and Titus does this new thing now where he's like, Titus will say, "Mommy, can I get a cookie?" And I'll say, "No, Titus, you can't have a cookie right now. It's not time for a cookie." He'll say, "But I want a cookie."
My Cookie Monster.
And I and I was like, "Where did he get that from? Did he get it from school? Where did he get it from?"
I'm
And I was
sorry.
talking to Bernard yesterday, and I was like, "Babe, I really want something. I don't remember what I was saying." And he told me like, "No, you cannot have this here." And I was like, "I really want it." And then the Lord reminded me, he was like, "You need to stop doing that because that's the reason why Titus." And it just showed me like, Kiara, you really have to be intentional about the things that you do, not necessarily because they are, volatile behavior, but it's because our children soak up so
They
much of
do.
our personality when they see us.
They do.
And it's so funny that I already have an outspoken and honest child.
Hmm.
And I always found it interesting growing up that churches, and especially with us growing up in church, churches are so happy when you have a child in church that plays the drums, or they want to preach, or they want to sing. But when
Yep.
it's time for that baby to react or be loud or um correct or have an opinion,
True.
it is all of a sudden shunned upon.
It's
And we
true.
have to be fair on both sides. If
It's true.
Titus is cute enough to grab a mic and hoop and preach, he's also cute enough to say what he does and does not like.
But I think
And
that's like a cultural thing too.
I think it is too. I think it is too.
I think it is because, I see that, and then I see, as I'm just kind of like I'm a people watcher. So if I'm at games, awards, ceremonies, anything like that, I see other cultures and they're interacting with their children. Their children are very, I don't want to do that. They're like, no, but I need you to. I don't want to do that. Like I say that I'm going to do blah blah blah, and it's a cultural thing that we have, I believe, in my opinion, that we kind of like, harness in on our children, make sure that they're respectful, make sure that they do, XYZ and everything. And I think it's because of what we know the world can be for them if they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we make sure that we kind of ingrain it in them. There is a happy medium though.
Yeah.
They don't have to be so tight with it. They can still respectfully, as I've said before, can still be able to be outspoken and share their feelings, even if there's something that you don't want to hear. Like when we moved down here, we started a kind of like how you get a performance review when you're working.
Yeah.
We started like a performance review every year that the kids give us, right?
Okay.
Like how am I doing as a parent? Sometimes the comments are not they're baseless, okay? But sometimes there are some things that you need to take and listen to and say, huh, I guess because you just mentioned you was like, because I said so. Gabby told me she was like, you've said that to me a couple of times, and I really genuinely just wanted to know why such and such was such and such. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I got to come to a place where it's important for me to just say why,
Yeah.
instead of saying because I said so. Say why. Give your why.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing point. And it teaches us that some of the things, like you said, some of the things that we learned or some of the ways that our parents operated, it wasn't necessarily that it was, again, volatile or anything. It's just that with the children that we have, it just doesn't work.
Yep.
Like, if Bernard Titus doesn't want to hug someone or embrace someone or
Yes.
talk to someone, there is nothing, and I mean
Yes.
nothing, that
Yep.
you can do to make him do it.
Yep.
If he doesn't feel it for today, and I think it's interesting because as much as adults have to realize that we have bad days and good days and that we have days that we want to communicate or not communicate,
Hmm.
children are the exact same way. Like some
True.
days they don't feel well. Some days they're not having a good day. And I can remember being younger and I would have to like beg my parents if I was having a bad day, like, please don't, I don't want to go to school. I really am just not having it, blah, 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 blah. And eventually they were like, well, if you if you're not having a good day here, you're not gonna have a good day
Nope.
there either. So maybe we just don't need to send you to school.
Yep.
And um I think it just takes us, taking the mixture of what we've experienced with, the personality of our children and kind of making that into what parenting looks like for you.
Yeah, and those mental health days are important, when you're at work and you're working a long week and you're doing all of the things that you're doing outside of work that are important to your family and your household. Um, you want to take a mental break, right?
Yeah.
And with school and everything, these kids have so many different that not only are they responsible for all of their classes, but they're also responsible for having a social life and sports and different activities and volunteering and community service. I'm always in the car with my laptop working, but making sure my kids get from there to there to there to there, because it's important to show them that it's okay and you can juggle things. But if you tell me that you're tired and you say that you can't do something, we're going to talk about it. And
Yeah.
if you can't do it, then that's when we're going to take a break, because maybe you need to take some things off of your plate. Your young self should not be this exhausted. So let's try to see what we need to take off your plate to help
Yeah.
you to get the break that you need.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that you are so intentional about always staying in tune with your kids. I think that um just I mean we always talk about just the differences in parenting style between our parents and us.
Mhm.
And just to see you have that open bond with Gabrielle, being a teenage girl and then looking at even how our relationship was when we were teenagers and how you would come get us. Oh my, oh, whew. You would have thought that Jennifer was our mother between the ages of 13 and 18, even in college. Like, Jennifer was the first hello. Yeah, this happened. What does that mean?
That's so funny. That's so funny because this morning me and Gabby was talking about a devotional that she read, and it was talking about siblings and how siblings argue. And if they argue a lot, then they're not going to have a solid foundation. Like they're going to have some issues, right? And so I told you we always relate it back to what's happening in real life. So my kids, they argue, but they don't argue like I believe if I had daughters that were the same age or around the same age, the way
Okay.
in the world, they don't really argue like catty or whatever. So she's like, so mom, did you argue with your siblings? I was like, unfortunately, no. I'm older than everybody else. So it wasn't an argument. It was more of redirection. That's not the right thing to do. Don't do
Yeah.
that, and but I also believe too that sometimes you need to have those arguments, because if you don't argue, then when you get in outside the house and you're arguing with somebody, you're not going to really know how to handle it. Your parents
Yeah.
going to make you have a conversation
Hmm.
and fix whatever the situation is. If you argue with somebody outside the house and y'all beefed out, you're not gonna talk about it. You're not gonna try to fix
Right.
it. That's all about the communication that we, you know, act like it's so important. If it's important, then you need to be able to have that disagreement and then also make sure that you come to a common ground and respect each other's stance on whatever that disagreement is.
Yeah. I would definitely have to agree because with you, it was like Jennifer is our sister, but it's like she's like our mama's sister.
Oh, what?
So it was like that's just how it was. But for Shay and I, we are 3 years apart. So we argue every day. Like that
Yeah.
was just like, what we doing? Going to school, eating, coming back, arguing? Right.
Yes. Yes, yes. But now that
And
y'all older, y'all like the way that she is protective over you, even with our parents. Like
yeah,
she is protective over
yes,
her
she
sister.
will go to bat. Like, is anybody messing with her? What you say to her,
True.
don't say nothing to her.
Yep.
And in turn, we're the same way about each other. Like, oh,
True.
you messing with, just don't say nothing to her. Leave
Yep.
her alone.
It's true.
Um, but I think agreeing, it teaches you that conflict is not necessarily a bad thing.
It's true.
It teaches you that just because you have conflict, that is not grounds to throw somebody away.
Hmm.
That is not an end all be all. Arguing can be very healthy if you're not spewing out hateful words or
Yeah.
doing a lot of things, and even getting loud is not necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
um because sometimes that's just how people communicate.
Hmm.
But I think that that has really helped me with not just being a parent, but having communication with other, because I understand that just because you have a bad day with somebody, just because you guys don't agree, that doesn't mean that that person is bad or that person doesn't like you or that person doesn't love you.
Right.
Um, so I think that's a really good point.
Hmm.
So let's talk about marriage.
Ooh,
You have been married for a long time. The funny thing is, my sister got married at 23.
I did.
And from then on, I had a quick prayer, quick, very, very quick. After she got married to her husband, I had a quick, quick, quick prayer. And I was like, I don't even think it was like I'm sitting down like or on my knees type prayer. It was like a very quick stand up prayer. Like, Lord, I really want to get married by 23 too. Amen. Okay. Amen. That was it. Lord, I really want to get married by 2023. Amen. So went to college, going through college, having a great old time. And eventually I did not think that I was gonna get married early. Like I was like, I'm just gonna take my time because at the time I wanted to go to law school. So I'm like,
Yep,
I'm gonna go to law school. I'm out here, I'm gonna get this money.
yep.
Um, I'm just gonna be out here doing what I want to do, traveling the world, doing my thing. Um, Boom, it just so happened that the year that I graduated from college was the year that my husband came into my life, and I got married at 22 and a half. And when I thought about it, it made me laugh so hard because the Lord reminded me as soon as I got engaged, like, you remember you prayed that prayer after your
Mhm,
sister got married that you
mm.
want to get married by 23?
There you go, baby.
You go. I got you. Um, so how did it feel being married early, building a life with somebody? How was that with you?
Um, I was the first of my girlfriend group to get married. So I kind of started the domino effect of everybody getting married.
Yeah.
So for like the first 2 years, I was the only person married. It was fun, but it was challenging too. Like, have you ever like really enjoyed doing something and then was like, golly, this is tough, Like I like it, but this tough.
Yeah, I think I was
Uh,
the first I think I was the first one in my friendship circle to get married, and my best friend didn't get married until 2 years
yeah,
after
that was
me.
that
Yep.
was Sam. Yeah, she got married 2 years later.
Christian got
So
married 2 years later too.
yep. So it's like one of those things where, I am walking this path um with him, right?
Yep,
And I'm learning a lot of things with him. Pastor Dick was very instrumental in my marriage. Okay. He was our counselor. It's so funny. We lived in the same city and we lived probably about 3 miles from each other. I never saw him, but my husband ran into him every time he went to the grocery store. He ran into him when he was running errands. He was saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna say the name that he used to call him, but he used to say like, "Oh my gosh, I ran into Pastor Deck and we talked for a good while." And he was like, he was a mentor to him and was really just kind of like trying to teach him how to be a husband, right? I mean,
yeah,
essentially, that's what he was doing and
yeah,
teaching him how to be the head of a household. And, before we had children and stuff, it was important for us to like spend time with each other, right? And although we had prior to getting married, we were together for like 4 years already, but it was also, we were dating in a relationship. When you get married, like people, this new school kids talking about something, the paper don't mean nothing. Paper don't mean nothing.
it means a lot.
Um, Birth certificates mean
Yes,
stuff, death certificates mean
yes,
stuff. You gotta sign papers to get loans, mortgages, all of the things. So it's important that sanctity of marriage. It is like, you gotta have a friendship, being able to just like kick it with my husband and tell him how I feel about things and vice versa, and just, be able to laugh at stuff and have inside jokes and all the things that you would have like with your friends and stuff. Like, you should have that in your marriage too.
yes,
Like, it's not just
absolutely.
a romantic thing, it's not just that. You need to be able to have fun. Like, that's
Yes,
important. That's very important because on the days that you just not even feeling him or he not feeling you, you could say something and they gonna laugh and then we gonna talk about this thing and we gonna get back to what it is. So that's what's, I think, kind of like helped us in our relationship and building in our marriage. And what I will say this though, sometimes I do look back and I tell my daughter this. Although I got married young,
yeah,
I would like for her to travel the world
me too.
and experience life not married if that's what the Lord say.
Right.
Because you also have that edge too. Like God will tell you if this is something that you should be doing. And if it's not, then don't jump into something that you shouldn't jump into, because you're gonna jump out of it real quick,
Very
you know,
quickly.
because it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. Like everybody is just like, all into this social media love and goals and all of that stuff. And marriage is great. It's fun. It's you building a life, literally watching yourself build a life with another person and creating other humans that's a part of that life. And that is beautiful and wonderful if God gives that to you, like if that's what he wants. Um, but also, you're going to have challenges. You're going to
Yeah.
go through things, financial, spiritually, physically, that you need to be ready and prepared for. It's not going to be a easy cakewalk all the time. And I think that's a lot of the times, because we have social media, everybody believes that it's supposed to be all, roses every day. He bring it home and the house is just full of red roses. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. Have fun. I'm
It's unrealistic.
No.
I think that the beautiful parts of both our parents' marriage,
Mhm.
as well as seeing you and your husband being married, is for our parents, we saw our parents like joke on each other, like, oh
Yes.
my gosh. We
Yes.
saw them go
Yes.
back and forth. And of course, we grew up, we didn't have a lot of money,
Yep.
but there was never a day where mom or dad didn't think about each other. Even if it was
Yeah.
mom was going to the grocery store and she like, "Oh, your daddy like that candy bar. Get that candy bar so your daddy can have it."
Or Imma cook
It
him
was
his favorite dish,
it
you
was
know?
always an intentionality of, we may not have much, but what I have is gonna be to make you happy or to make your
Yes.
day. Even if it wasn't like expensive, it was like, I know your mama don't wanna cook tonight. Let's go
Yep.
get Chinese food or let's get
Yep.
pizza or whatever to make that job easier. And
Yep.
I loved seeing, the benefit of you being older than me was, just having the benefits of you getting to a place of adulthood where you started to really, really get the blessings of God, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Because you were older, so by the time I got in middle school, high school, you were grown. You were married to Bryant. So when he came into our lives, this is the first time we was getting gym shoes on a regular basis. This was the first, like seriously, like our sister took us to go get uniforms that fit
Mm.
because our parents were buying us 2, 3 sizes too big.
So that you can grow into them.
And because we were developed and our parents didn't want anybody to see. Okay. Um and prior to my dad being saved, my dad was, in out here
Mhm.
and in the streets. And my dad was just like, nobody's gonna take advantage of my girls.
It's true.
Nobody's gonna sit here and look at them a certain type of way. So we were dressed like we were about to do some, mean things.
Nuns.
And okay, yes.
Oh, happy day.
So and to this day on a certain level, I struggle with like that. Like, oh my goodness, if my dad saw this on social media, what would he say? Or what would he do? Blah blah blah.
Mhm. Same. Even at this big age, there are things that I send to you, private message, and I'm like, I could never post this to my feed. My mama gonna see this.
Exactly.
My
Oh my goodness. I
daddy gonna
remember
send
the
me a
picture.
text message.
Exactly. The
Mm.
picture that you love, the picture that you love of me, that I had a red lipstick. I posted it,
Yes.
and my parents was like, "So this is what you gonna do to me? This is the thanks you gonna give to the Lord." I was like, "Oh my god, let me
I love
let
that photo. That's my favorite photo of you. It's such a candid shot, but it's also like it's also sexy. It's also like this is a woman. My sister is I've always seen you as my baby, even all the way up until I saw you in your dress on when we went to the store for you to try on dresses.
Oh, yeah.
I've always seen you as my baby. Like you've always been that little baby with that blue jean outfit on, with that blue jean little hat. Okay, you always been my baby. So I ain't been like, what you talking about? She getting married? Hold on. Oh, not my sister. But when I saw you in that dress, I was like, oh man, I think I sent my best friend. I sent her the picture and I said, this really happening. And she is not a little kid. She is an adult. And we need to start treating her as such. And she was like, no, you need to start treating her as such. She's still a baby to me.
And to this day, her best friend is my big sister. And anytime I go to visit her, I get treated like I am three. Do you need anything? You want some water? You want to make you some food? You need anything? And
Yep.
she does the exact same thing now to my children. But I mean, your life inadvertently gave us a different perspective of what life could be.
Mm.
So you growing up and being older than us gave me a new hope, if that makes sense. Like it gave me a new hope. Like I can be this. When we saw you go to college, my mindset was like, oh, I'm going to college.
Boom.
Oh, I'm gonna be something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a, even you've always talked about moving. Like even when you were thinking about going to Georgia, not Atlanta, like Savannah, going somewhere in Georgia. I just want to be in a warmer climate. I want to give my kids a better life. My mind was like, I do too. Where am I about to go? Where I want to go? And it really just made me look at life like I don't have to have my expectations here.
That's
Like
right.
I can go high.
Never.
I can go as high as my dreams or my imagination can take me, or as high as God wants me to be. And so, even with marriage, when I saw you get married and you guys bought your first house, and then you guys had Gabby, and then you guys have Gavin, then you guys bought your second house. I'm like, I want to buy a house.
But that's so is that's kind of a full circle moment for me for you to even say that, because my ultimate goal was graduating high school because mom didn't.
Right, right.
I'm going to graduate high school. I'm dedicated. I had a different last name. I changed my last name back to my mom's last name. I wanted to make sure that she felt like she really did her job
Yeah,
with me, right?
yeah,
And then going to college, Lachey and AJ was my drive of staying in. It was a many times that I was on the verge of being kicked out because I did not have the money to be there. So I had to work 2 and 3 jobs to get that tuition money, be able to pay for school and do the things that I needed to do in order to stay there. So y'all was my drive, like, I gotta see this through, because if I see this through, then I am the example that they're seeing so that they could keep moving too. Like, in families, a lot of times we don't have the privilege of being able to have that generational wealth,
yeah,
generational knowledge,
yeah,
and in learning things. So then when I learn something, I want to share. And then when you learn stuff, you share. So then I'm teaching my kids the things that you're telling me about stuff that you've learned, right? And then
yeah,
we're all just kind of like sharing those things in our friend circles, um, just in, like, we talk about different cultures and how those cultures say, hey, you can stay in this house as long as you want, save your money up, and when you get married and stuff, then you can move out. And a lot of times in Black families, that doesn't happen because they have other people that they need to take care of. So having that extra
yeah.
mouth to feed is like, what you gonna do? You gonna work? You gonna go to school because you need to go? Like, I got 3 more and I can't do
Exactly.
you too. You gotta, let's get it together. And so for you to say that, that's very kind, for you to say, because y'all were my drive. Y'all were my hustle, you
Well,
know.
our first goal was, I don't know if it was you, but Shay and I used to say it all the time, like, um, we can't be 16 and pregnant. We can't
Oh,
be
girl, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was our first goal, like, we can't be pregnant, we can't be 17 and pregnant, like, it's like
We can't
once
be
16
nothing and
was
pregnant.
once 16 was on the horizon, it was like mom saw red that whole
It did.
entire year, like,
It
"What
gave
you
her
doing? Where you
anxiety.
going? Where you
It
going?"
did.
Because it was like her whole life was coming back again.
Yep.
And even you saying that really puts into perspective why mom always, whenever she sees that I've done something or if I've announced something new that I'm rolling out or I have a new achievement, mama text me or call me or message me like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Oh my gosh."
Yes.
Like, because I didn't get it until now. Like, it's as if she is reaffirming herself that I did my job. You
Yes.
know, like I've accomplished something. And for moms, when you see your kids
Mm.
really do all you wanted them to do, even if it's something small, you know, even with Titus now, with teaching him to use the bathroom by himself.
Mhm.
Every time he does it, it's just like, thank
Mhm.
you. Like, thank
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
for taking part in this educational process. And though our parents didn't, you know, go to finish high school or go to college, they did stress the importance of going.
Yeah.
Um, and
It was
so
very important to them. That
yeah.
was something that they knew that, again, you kind of, because and I try to put myself in their shoes.
Mhm.
You because you didn't do it, you feel like if I can make sure that my children do it, that means that I actually contributed to making someone in my bloodline better than me, you
Yeah.
know? When you talk about small milestones or milestones for your children, Gavin has high functioning autism, and you get all of the, autism is a spectrum. So you have children who can be, very challenging, can't speak, and then you can have children who are highly intelligent. And are very smart. And what I learned with getting him tested and going through all of these different doctors and teachers, administrators, all these things, is that you can't when every child is different, right?
Yeah.
And when they're learning, I was told that he would, just be a regular D student. He wouldn't really do well. He wouldn't speak. He would have all of these challenges, and um God is just so he's so funny how he is going to make sure that as long as you are um staying committed and believing in his will and what he says, what these doctors and teachers and everybody say don't mean nothing, because what he says is how it's going to go, right?
Exactly.
And he's a 4.0 kid, socially he's not really, all that super social and stuff like that. He really would rather hang out with his teachers than hang out with students.
But the
But
interesting thing is that's how I was as a child.
you
Like,
were,
I did
you
not
were.
like talking to people my age. It got on my nerves. It was stressful. No
I
offense.
used I used to tell mom all the time. I mean, she like, I don't have her going outside. She know everything, Jen. So she's telling me, she's telling me everything you didn't told, and I'm like, Mama, let her go outside with the kids. She like, no, she can't go outside. She has asthma. I'm like, okay, then you come home with the tea. It's over after that, girl. I was calling her on my lunch break. What Kiara say happened at the school?
I just knew, and I think that's how Gavin is too. Like, I just knew from a very early age that I would not fit in. Like, I just knew I wouldn't fit in, and I tried my best
Hmm.
to fit in. It just did not
You're not meant
work.
to fit in.
No,
I tell Gabby that all the time. You're not meant to fit in. You are meant to stand out.
she
You are.
is. She
You
really
are. You
is.
are meant to stand out. And don't let anybody dull your light. I mean, colorism is really like huge in our community, but it's also huge outside of the community. And because she's a chocolate
She's a chocolate queen, oh
girl,
my gosh.
she deals with things that I never experienced growing up. So it's very interesting the types of conversations that we have, but the confidence that she has, I never had. I
Never. I
never
never had it
had.
either.
I love that about her is that she walks into the person that she is and she's unapologetic about that. And you're not gonna tell even she's like, even on my worst day, I still look wonderful. Okay. Inside and out. I love that. Like that's what you want. You
It
want
took me
that.
it took me a whole child to feel like that about my the craziest thing is, um, I remember dealing with depression and suicide when I was 16.
Mm,
I remember, um, I remember dealing with it prior to that,
mm,
because like I said, I always felt like an outcast and I was never comfortable, really in my own skin. I remember being in college and, getting sick and things like that, and I never really felt comfortable, like, who I am, what I'm called to do, like, just being Kiera. And it took me having a child.
mhm,
Like, this is the most this okay, body, okay?
mhm,
This is the most I've ever been, like, weight-wise, whatever wise. The
mhm,
most I've ever been, and on my worst day,
mhm.
you can't tell me anything, okay?
But that's crazy though, because growing up, we were always telling you how pretty you were, how cute you are, how adorable you are, how smart
Mm,
you are,
mm.
like giving these affirmations all the time. But that's how the mind will really play with you and how you believe in that you are something that you are not.
Yes.
You know, it will really have you believing that you are just not even worthy of things when
Yeah.
deep down you know that you should have,
Yeah.
but your mind is telling you and clouding you and telling you all of these lies about who
Yeah.
you are and what you should have.
And it just shows you that this is why we have to give our kids support and acknowledgement and things like that. But realistically, they form an opinion about themselves by themselves. Like they take
Yeah.
what we say and then of course they have to like retract all the stuff that the world says about them
Yep.
and form an opinion about themselves. And as much as we want to shape
Mhm.
everything,
Yep.
the reality is we have to let them go through their own process with
It's true.
of course with God leading. And I thought it was always interesting and I think about this all the time that my whole life I was for the most part like from high school and college, especially in college, I was fit, I was
Mhm.
active, I was doing a lot. Um and I was essentially very very beautiful. And
Mhm.
I did not really catch that until now being married, having children. I'm like, "Man, you cute. You are so cute." And that is with or without makeup, that is with or without my hair, just
Yes.
anything. It's like I finally see
Yeah.
the beauty, the potential, all of that inside of myself.
Yeah.
And that gives me the motivation now as a parent to be like, especially having sons, is
Mhm.
I want to show them what a healed, whole, successful woman looks like,
Yeah.
what that looks like, what they should go after. And to have Titus look at me and say, "Oh, that's mommy. She's so
Yes.
beautiful. She's so prettyful." Like to have someone look at you
He the
and
sweetest boy. I
kids are
love him.
honest, okay?
Yeah.
Now
Oh
I
yeah.
know they're honest,
Oh
okay?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And if he can look at you and say that, it's like, "Oh,
He
thank
the
you."
sweetest boy. I love him so much. He's so
Yeah.
sweet. He's so
But,
sweet.
it just having you as a sister is like it's such a
Key.
gift. You're such a gift. Okay. You are such a
Key.
gift. Okay. I was talking about you today You're such a gift. And I really, really oh my gosh. Oh,
Sister, please. I'm gonna look down now. Okay, that's enough.
okay.
What's your next question?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I want to say this.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Um, uh, I am just super proud of the person that you are and are becoming, right? You left from being a very sheltered young lady and moved from the house to college, then got married and been rocking it ever since. Like, can we just talk about how my sister is a professional? She is doing charity movement. So many women who she's helping and touching and being transparent with her life. Like so many things that you share, I never, ever thought that you would share because we don't hear people talking about it,
Yeah.
right? We don't hear women talking about postpartum. We don't hear women talking about um, being sad. We don't hear women talking about miscarriages.
Yeah.
We don't hear women talking about um, just like being all around mom wearing all of these different hats. And sometimes it's not easy. And then the fact that you can be transparent and say, that is not easy, but I'm still doing it. And you see me being committed to something that I love and that I enjoy. Like you always have had the heart for women, like always. You've always been that way. That's been really something that you've been gifted with. You've been very instrumental in making sure that a lot of people who are in your circle, outside of your circle, I know I have, people that call you and talk to you about stuff that are my age, like my friend group will call and talk to you about the word, talk to you about, certain things that's going on in their lives, and that you are a keeper of secrets. Okay. That's something that means so much to me because I've shared things with you and I've never heard anybody else repeat something that I've told you back to me. Right. The beauty of the sisterhood and what you're creating here with charity movement is that women can come and actually share, the things that are happening with them, like literally taking their mask off and knowing that with you they're in good hands. And I have to commend you for what you're doing. Like whenever you're feeling tired, whenever you're feeling down, just remember that there are so many women who are quietly watching what you're doing. So you may not hear someone tell you how important you are to them in ministry, but I'm going to tell you right now today that you are important to us in ministry. Your posts online are important to us, both the very serious ones and the ones that have me cackling. Okay. The ones that have me cracking up. And I'm just so excited about the things that you're going to be sharing here in a little while too. Like God is really like putting his hands on your family, and it's just so many exciting things that are going to happen. And I'm just so happy to say that you are my baby sis. Like forever will be my baby sis.
Period.
And I love you
I
and
love
protect you at all cost. Okay.
period. Okay. I don't fight for many.
Yes. True.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really you know what? And the craziest thing is um because our mom has so many siblings,
Mhm.
our mom has 17 other siblings
Mhm.
growing up. And a lot of them were stair steppers and
Yeah.
they they had their little spats and arguments or things like that. But at the end of the day, our family was still family.
Yeah.
And we knew that if we ever needed to call our family, they would be there some type of way.
Mhm.
And I think for me, that always made me look at women a certain type of way and say, they're supposed to be protected, or I'm supposed to love them. And that's why it was so hard for me growing up when I did not have like a lot of girlfriends,
Mhm.
until middle of high school, then going into college.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't meet my best friend until I was 16, and she's still my best friend.
Mhm.
Um, but it really makes me really value women and value those relationships, because I saw my mom with 11 others, well, 15,
Mhm.
14 other sisters,
Mhm.
and they would argue, but
Mhm.
you bet not.
Yeah, mind your business.
You better not get into the argument.
Yes.
Then
Uh,
all 15 of them are going to turn around on you.
about to rock you.
And that's what I learned, is that, yeah, conflict will arise, but at the end of the day, I'm going to
Yep.
always be down for the people that I love. And so,
Yep.
I really, really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate this interview. Thank you for giving me
This
the
is
time and
fun.
space.
This is
I
fun. This
know.
is just basically, I want to be honest with your viewers. This is just a look into our private conversations. Like we're
Okay.
just
This is
kicking it
every day.
like we always do. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Right. The only difference is I'm not on here pumping,
Yeah.
because they know I will pump. If y'all don't know, okay, I will pump anywhere. I pump while I'm driving. I
Period.
don't care.
My nephew got to eat. Okay. Formula is not where it's at. The only thing that's different is I don't get to see my babies while we talking right now.
Oh
Because
my
usually
gosh.
Titus
And
would
I
have
was,
got into the camera like,
oh my
Tay,
goodness.
let me show you my car.
No, how about right before I came up here? He was like, "Mommy, come with me. Come with me." That means, can I come with you? Come with me, mommy. Come with me and give me a cookie. Come with me. No,
Not a
Titus.
cookie. Give me
No.
his cookies.
Right. Then his word was, come with me. Okay.
I love him so much.
He's a mess. But yes, I love you. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
you
being
too.
a part of this episode. I
Yes,
really, really,
ma'am.
really appreciate it.
Thank you
Um,
for inviting me. I
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. Do you have anything that you want to announce? Anything you got coming up, going on?
I don't have anything that I want to announce right now.
Okay.
I am working on a nonprofit for the young ladies in middle school. With COVID, it kind of slowed everything down for me, but it looks like we're opening back up. And I'll be able to get into the schools and be able to be a sounding board for young girls who really need to have that open ear for someone to help them to be able to kind of like navigate the transitions between middle school and high school. So I'm excited about that.
I'm
Um,
excited too.
and my daughter's been begging me to, I started off trying to do a crime podcast, and it was messing with me because when you're doing investigation for these types of things, I didn't know how in depth these stories are, and actually looking at photos of people who have died and stuff. And that was really challenging for me. So I put that on the back burner. But my daughter and I have been recording ourselves, our car convos. So she's trying to see, I have to get her buy in, right? I can't just upload these things. I want her to say, this
Yeah.
is what I want. But we've been doing that a lot and kind of just like listening back and laughing about our conversation. So maybe that can be something that, me and her will do together. But right now, I don't have anything to announce.
I love that. I think that would be beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe one episode we'll have. So I was thinking about, okay, so I was thinking about interviewing mom. But girl,
Ooh.
your mom is uncensored and unleashed, okay? I'm scared.
Ooh.
So maybe for that one, we'll have us and mom and Gabby. I think that'll be great.
I think she'll be good because she knows that she's being recorded and other people are going to hear. I think you have her good for about 30 minutes, and then that ADD kick in, and then
She'll be like,
here I am taking the gloves off. You want to see
okay, she go from Marsha to Mo real quick.
me?
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys to my listeners for tuning into this episode. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as listening to us on the road, our audio podcast, right?
Yes.
I love you guys, and remember that the only one stopping you is you. See you soon.
Bye.